So welcome back to another edition of the Impact Sessions with me, Nick Bramley. This week, I've got an absolute titan of the Leeds and West Yorkshire manufacturing business community with me as my guest. It's Chris Black, Managing Director of Sound Leisure. Brilliant story to tell. We've entitled this week's episode, The Global Success Story of a UK Manufacturing Business and Brand. So without further ado, welcome, Chris. Welcome to the Impact Sessions podcast.
Welcome, and nothing like a big introduction to set me up there.
I love every time I've seen what you do. I really like the business. I'm intrigued to find the backstory, and I'm sure our listeners and audience will be as well. So what I always say to my guests is, just give us an overview a little bit about Sound Leisure. For those who are watching, by the way, because some watch on YouTube, others absorb it on audio, Chris is surrounded by what can only be described as some fabulous looking products. So just explain Sound Leisure to us a little bit. What do you do? What's the product range? How long have you been going? That kind of stuff.
Okay, Nick. Yeah, thank you. Sound Leisure was set up in 1978 by my father, Alan Black. And I've been here for 34 years. I work alongside my brother, my wife, my son's here. And we've got probably another 6 or 7 families working here. So we are predominantly known for manufacturing, and exporting classic styled jukeboxes around the world, which are based on vinyl LP, vinyl 7-inch singles, CDs, digitals. As I say, we ship them worldwide. We also have an operating division that supplies pubs and clubs throughout the UK, so hospitality sector. So as you can imagine, that's having a torrid time at the moment. We're not having fun on that side. The classic side's flying. And we've got a children's play division that supplies what we class as distraction areas into supermarkets, NHS, visitor attractions, etc. Once again, they've had a bit of a tough couple of weeks as well, a couple of months, I should say.
Yeah.
And the idea of the business is we're a manufacturing hub based in Crossgates in Leeds. We have a metalwork, woodworking. We have a sister company, a vac forming company on site. We do creative developments, both electronically on site. So we've got a real big setup, really, quite a unique setup that you can walk into this building and see woodworkers working alongside metal workers, working alongside electronics engineers, designers, etc. So it's just something that's grown over the years. We're proud to build in Crossgates and in Yorkshire and export around the world, really.
Excellent. Well, in terms of UK manufacturing, I think that the global pandemic's given us an opportunity to revisit the strengths of that, and hopefully that's been reflected in people valuing the quality and the craftsmanship and the things that go with that. So that's good news. But I know from your LinkedIn profile, you mentioned you've been there 30 odd years, Chris. You don't look old enough to have been there 30 odd years, to be fair. But that's you must have an easy paper round. But what I'd say to you is, on your LinkedIn profile, it says you started in the business by spending many an afternoon and weekend in the business as a kid. So the question I've got for you is to start with is, how much did the fact that it was a family business and run and owned by your dad shape your destiny? Was there ever another choice, a career option for you as a 16 to 18-year-old, or was it always going to be Sound Leisure?
Look, I remember my father setting the business up in 1978. I was 8 years old, and it's grown from strength to strength. Look, like every business, it's had tough times, it's had good times, and probably this year you'd say it's been a tough time again. But when I used to go down with my father and just kick a ball around in the car park to start off with. Well, he was working on a Saturday morning or a Sunday. And I intended leaving school at 16, which I did. I'm not an academic and I couldn't wait to get out of there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I intended going into painting and decorating, and I'm more of a hands-on type of person.
Yeah.
Driving down York Road one day, I was telling my dad what I was going to do, and he said, look, come into the business, come for the 6-week holidays or whatever it was, 12 weeks by the time I'd taken my exams. With it being a family business, I don't think anybody in the household really gets a chance to sit down and, how can I say this politely, do nothing.
Yes, yeah.
So it was a case of, look, you finished school, come down here and get stuck in and give us a hand, and just see if there's anything that you like doing during the school holidays before you go off and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I got there, and I don't know if it was the camaraderie of everybody, not so much to do with it being a family business, but I really enjoyed it. It was the hands-on. I was getting stuck in, packing and building some of the machines. And I mean, started off being the tea lad. I can brew a great cuppa. And literally just moved on throughout the business, and just, it's been a long holiday, and a great holiday at that. It's been a long summer holiday.
I'd have to say 12 weeks. What year was that roughly, Chris, that you started?
That was 1986, that was. So,
that's a long 12 weeks, my friend. That's a long 12 weeks. Okay. So,
yes.
So what was it that did it for you then? You know, in terms of, was there one aspect in that 12-week period that was the bit that says, I'm definitely not going to do painting and decorating? Was there something you did that you thought, I really love this?
I think it's just the thrill of actually seeing something start off at one end of the factory as nuts and bolts and maybe a bit of wood or metal, and progress through and come out the other end, and it's playing music and you've got customers who want it, and also probably because the music side of the business, although I don't really know anything about the charts at the minute. I sound a bit like my father did when I started.
No, I'll be honest with you, Chris. You and I could not discuss the charts. I don't even think they have charts anymore, Chris. So,
oh no, they do. They still have charts, but it's not so much what was going on there. I think it's just, I mean, if you walk around our factory now, it's a happy place. I mean, there's always music playing, and it's like if you ever walk in and you go in and there's no music playing, and it's like a library. It feels awful. It doesn't feel right. There's a I don't know. There's a presence in the building all the time. I think that's what it is.
It sounds like there's an energy about it, and I like the fact that, you know, it's family orientated, and there's other families who work there. So that's got to have a. I mean, they say you should never work with children and animals. They probably say you shouldn't work with your family as well to a certain extent. But you know, it brings its own. Christmas lunches, Christmas dinners might be quite interesting if you've just had a fallout on, you know, Christmas Eve.
Well, that's it. I mean, I had a customer here yesterday, and they walked around, and I got a text message at 11 o'clock last night from them saying, just want to thank you for selling us a machine today, but it was such an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Not just looking at the machine, but actually seeing everybody in the factory with a smile on the face and looking like they're enjoying themselves, and also the amount of young apprentices that you've got in there. They said, we've come away with a real buzz, and that's what we get every day working here.
The question I've got for you, because the different styles of you know, jukeboxes, particularly the bit I'm fascinated by, and I've always liked music. I've always liked jukebox music. You go into a pub in the old days and press it, and you know, whatever the disc used to come down. Just there's something quite romantic about a jukebox. Where do you get your inspirations from for your designs and things then, Chris? Where does that come from?
Well, I mean, on the classic side, obviously it's from there's some iconic machines out there, built in the 1940s originally, really, by Wurlitzer. The one behind me, if you're watching, the dome top machine, probably the most iconic jukebox in the world.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, they built 50,000 of those in a couple of years following the war. I mean, it really was a production line like you've never seen before. They had trains going in and their own forests and etc. Yeah. And it's just trying to find out. I put money on that if you asked anybody to draw a jukebox, it would look like that dome top with the bubble tubes in and all the colours. That's the thing most people come up with. So, and then we do the flat top machines that were from the 50s. And it's just that there's certain things like classic cars, there's certain iconic shapes and models that just draw your eye to them, and you can appreciate the aesthetics of them, and you can appreciate that the man who designed them originally was way beyond anything that anybody else has done. And they just stand out. They're iconic products. We like to say we refine the iconic models from the 40s and 50s, and that's all we're doing. We're trying to pay homage to them, but bring modern technology into them.
Are they Americana predominantly? It was America, obviously the home of the jukebox, and Wurlitz is a name I've heard. Obviously, I'm sure most of the listeners who know anything about jukeboxes, it would be the quiz question answer. If you're ever asked a quiz question about jukeboxes, the answer would always be Wurlitz, because I don't know anybody else's make. So were they always iconic Americana then, Chris?
Yeah, they were, and obviously they followed a lot of the lines to do with the car manufacturing, and so it was chrome and it was the bright lights. And if you look at some of the models we build now, and you look at some of the old American cars with the fins on the back, if you stand that model of car next to the jukebox, you can see exactly where the design came from. So obviously back in the 40s and 50s, where America was really bouncing and very out there with the designs, and coming into England and Europe, which was probably very staid in relation to what they were doing. I mean, these things came over and just blew everybody's minds.
Well, so you're comparing an American car from the 50s and 60s with a Ford Anglia. You're looking at it and go, there's a bit of a different design classic going on there, isn't there, really?
Yeah, there is, yeah. And I think I mean, what we're doing now is, I mean, we do a lot of bespoke machines for people as well now, and that's one way that we're really going. I mean, with some of the machines we're sending out, we're working on two now for a man in Australia. And he's spending a lot of money having these made. He's having two made, and they are completely his design. He's worked with our creative team. So when he gets those in his house and in his holiday home, wherever they're going, he can say, look, there is only two of these in the world, or there is only one of these in the world, because they're both slightly different. And it's just an incredible feeling when we're working on projects like this, that we're actually knowing that we're going to build a machine, we're going to design it with the person that's actually going to work or use it for the rest of their lives. Then they'll hand it on to their families. And we're sending it to Australia as well. So it's what's not to like about working with these and with the products that we're making.
Well, I have to say your passion shines through, as I knew it would. I want to talk about one aspect of when you're doing product design, and innovation's important, isn't it? And you strike me as an innovative business. It doesn't have to be innovation just in product design and development. There could be other areas like business processes, customer experience, and things. I really like your customer experience of bringing them in and showing them around and walking them through the factory piece. What other areas of innovation, where does innovation sit at Sound Leisure for you then, Chris?
I think it goes through every division, to be honest. And it's things like now, while we're in COVID, we're doing virtual tours of the factory. As soon as we got hit and people couldn't come, we still wanted people to buy the machines, obviously. So we offer virtual tours, virtual walkthroughs of the machines. We've had to adapt over the 40 years. So the smoking ban came in 2007. We were panicking initially because we knew that the tap rooms, which were traditionally where our commercial jukeboxes were sited in the pubs, were going to probably suffer. People were going more back to watching Sky at home. They could drink cheaper at home. They didn't have to drive. They could smoke, etc.
You'd have a gastro pub which didn't have a jukebox in, would it?
That's correct. Yeah.
The gastro pub. Yeah.
That's it. So what we did then is we looked at setting the kids division up, because we'd worked with the pub course previously, doing redemption machines and novelty machines aimed at children.
Sorry, what's a redemption machine?
So that's something where the kids will put money into a machine, they'll play a game, and then they'll win tickets that they can exchange, or they'll win a prize. So we'd worked on products with Whitbreads and Tetleys going back into the early 90s. And we thought maybe it's with the smoking ban coming in, we could see people would be less inclined to go for a drink, as I say, but the pub company still wanted to keep people going to the pub. So we just took a bit of a gamble, really. In fact, if we set the kids division up and we can supply children's play equipment and distraction areas, if you want, because although people may want children into the pubs because it'll bring the parents, they don't necessarily want children in the pubs because they're running around and creating hassle. So they'll need a diversion for the kids. So we set the kids division up around that, and until this year it's been flying. But obviously all these areas now are closed or have been hit, but we expect that to come back next year. So that's just another way we've diversified. But look, it's building machines differently, selling them differently. how we operate. It's everything. Every day there's something new, and as far as I'm concerned, we challenge things every day, and as soon as you stop challenge them, you're going backwards.
Okay, what are you most proud of then when it comes to innovation, or where innovation's taken the business? What's been a real light bulb where you go, yeah, this is where we've got to. It was a direct result of something that we innovated. Is there any examples of that? I'm sure you've got plenty, to be fair.
There's tons. I mean, literally from word go. I mean, I wasn't even here though, but I'm so proud of what they did in the early days. From the formed a business in 1978, and by 1982 they've been working on a vinyl playing jukebox and launched it in 1980. And then within 2 or 3 years, Philips and Sony got together and invented the CD player. And all the work that spent after vinyl had been the only thing you could really listen to music on en masse for 100 years, had got wiped out within, well, really by 1990, that was it. Vinyl had gone. So, and we had to redevelop, etc. So that was a fantastic effort by the team. And I think, in all honesty, that's probably where the innovations come from, because we've been in a marketplace that you've not been able to sit down and sit back and just think, wow, we've done it. You've always got to get to that next point, because if you don't, what you're building now is out of date within a few years.
I've got a question for you on consumer tastes then, and things like Spotify and Alexa. Surely they're the kryptonite for your business, when somebody can just stream a playlist and just ask specifically for what they want, and they can say to Alexa, play me Bruce Springsteen or play me The Cure or whatever. Have they made a difference to you, or have they made people appreciate what you do even more?
I think initially we were quite concerned about it. I had a lovely moment. We had a pop-up shop in Leeds earlier this year, last year in the Victoria Quarter, in Victoria Gate, sorry. And a gentleman came into the shop and really just wanted an argument with me about this point. And he came in and at the top of his voice said, "Why would I want to buy one of these?" And got his phone out, and I've got 1 million tracks on here. And I said, "Right, okay, fine. So what are you asking me?" And he said, "Well, I just don't see the point. Why the hell would I buy one of these?" So,
welcome to my pop-up shop for a fight. Yeah, great.
Yeah, literally it was. So, and as you can tell, I'm quite, I'll defend our corner, let's put it that way. So I said, look, right, first thing, connect your iPhone to our jukebox, it's Bluetooth. So he did that. I said, right. So he said, look, right, I'm going to show you now I can select any song. So he got his phone out, pressed whatever it was, and said, right, there you go, it's playing. But I don't need one of these. So I said, that's fine. Now go over to that vinyl jukebox. Fine. Search through that song playlist. So he sat there for 5 minutes going through it. Oh, I like that one. Put that on. Made the selection. Watched all the theatre of the record coming round. Selected. And then as the song came on, he had a grin from ear to ear. And I said, that's why you want one of my jukeboxes, not listening to it on digital, because digital music will never, ever do that. It's something, music has been... it's just lost all of its presence. It's always there. Yeah. I mean, I've got digital. I go home and I'll press Spotify or whatever. I'll go on and play something, but it's on in the background while I'm doing something else. If I want to listen to music, I sit down in front of my jukebox with my glass of wine, and I enjoy it. And that's what it's about. It's the theatre.
Your iPhone or your Spotify or your Alexa won't move your soul, but watching that selection on a jukebox and the mechanism to get the vinyl into the place. And I love the idea of this guy smiling from ear to ear, and he was probably hating himself for doing it.
It is. And look, we get so many messages. I was sat at home on Saturday evening, just moved house, just collapsed. 6 o'clock, got a text message from a customer that bought a machine back in June. And she said, "Chris, I just want you to know that I've bought this machine in June. It's never been turned off. We sit down and listen to it every day. And it is honestly the best thing that we have ever bought." Yeah. And I must get 10 messages a week like that. It's the become part of the household and the family, and it brings people back. It connects people with music again.
I love that. Now, let's talk about global. We talked about global success of your brand and your business. So you are a truly global business with customers in many, many countries. Do you know how many countries you service or have serviced? I didn't say that, but
yeah, I'd say regularly we export to probably 25 countries.
wow.
And we're up to sort of like 30 odd. We've just sent this week a container out to Japan. We've just sent one out to Thailand the week before, America the week before that. We've got machines going to France, Switzerland. Just been on the phone to India just before you called me. So yeah, so we're getting out there and we're trying our best to push as far and as wide as we can.
Do the Japanese, do you do karaoke machines? The Japanese love a karaoke, don't they? Do you do anything that helps them to enjoy the karaoke experience in Japan, or is that something different?
It's something different. However, on the jukeboxes, there is a facility on the amplifier where you can have it in karaoke mode, so it won't fade the music out when you plug the microphone in. But it is a different system, really.
So talking about your global kind of, how did you get to grow your business from Leeds, West Yorkshire, UK? How did you get it to grow globally from a marketing and awareness perspective, but also the ability to deliver internationally? What was it? Was it gradual, or was it just, we'll just do this? How did it work?
No, initially it was gradual and it came off the back of the commercial side of the business with the commercial jukeboxes. There used to be a big show in London. Well, there still is a big show in London, but in those days it was called the Amusement Trade Exhibition International, which was held at Earl's Court and Olympia. And you used to get people flying in from all over the world to see the machines, jukeboxes, fruit machines, pin tables, anything to do with arcades. And we used to get people coming in from everywhere, and you'd find somebody in Austria who'd say, look, I love this, can you send me 10 of these? And literally it just grew like that. Once we began building the classic style machines in about 84, 85, we were lucky enough to get them into Harrods on very, very early on. And all of a sudden then they had people flying in from Dubai to pick a machine up, or etc. So it is literally initially we set off like that, but over the last probably 10 or 15 years, we had a concerted effort at spreading risk and trying to get into different areas. So if the UK goes down, Germany might be doing well, or America might be, etc.
Yeah.
So it was really just a self-preservation thing, and we normally work through distributors in each country, so they can speak the language, they can offer the support, the backup, etc. One thing we will guarantee is that our machine will break down because it will last longer than anybody who's listening to this now. So if you come back in 40, 50 years, you'll still want somebody to be able to repair it. So we'll use a local person.
Unlikely to happen. The distributor model is a good, well-trodden path, isn't it, really? You know, have there been some challenges with that in terms of trying to find people who've got the same brand values and the same business ethics as you? Has that been an interesting journey, I suspect, on some levels, Chris?
It's been a very interesting journey. And for what we do, it's very unique. So you don't just need somebody at the end of a phone who can sell something or have a showroom that can sell something. You need somebody who can actually deliver a machine that weighs 120, 130 kilos. You need somebody who can then set it up, which isn't a major thing, but then somebody maybe with mechanical and electronics knowledge. So it's not like we're building toasters where we can just say, well, there you go, we'll ship it out to you and just send it straight to your customer. It needs some expertise and finding the right people in the right country and who understand what we want from a white glove delivery when they've bought the machine is it's hard to find, and that's the most difficult thing.
So your distributors then, do they have showrooms in an area? So your distributor for India might be in Delhi, or you might have a couple geographically, because it's a big country. They have a showroom that drives people to there, and then they service them and look after them locally then, yeah?
Yeah, that's what we ask for. So each distributor, we ask that they hold a machine in stock at least, depending on where they are. Quite a few of the European distributors hold multiple machines, so that if we get a lead, we can just say, your nearest distributor is in Paris. Yeah. We know them extremely well. We know they'll have this selection in and they'll look after you. So it's important for us to get eyeballs on the machine if you want, because you don't see them in pubs and restaurants as much now. So that's another thing we learned from having the shop in Leeds, that people just walked past and saw this, I don't know, this light show going on, walked in the shop and literally dropped the credit card on and said, I don't care what it costs, just send me one because this is amazing. Got how good they were. And that's our biggest problem, getting them in front of people to see them.
Heart and soul, we mentioned that music can do all sorts to you, can't it, really? Yes, I'm going to finish later on with a question about your musical taste, but no pressure, but we'll come back to that. So what advice would you give a business, a UK manufacturer, who are maybe thinking about, or just early stages of starting to export and grow internationally? Is there anything that you would say, this is a golden rule that you must follow or must avoid, either something to avoid or something to absolutely do? Anything that you say that's essential?
Well, yeah, I think your first thing is get money up front, because you hear so many scare stories of people dealing abroad that treat people in another country the same as they treat people down the road here. And in all honesty, there's cowboys everywhere. And I've heard some really sad stories where people have shipped machines or shipped components or built something exclusively for somebody and then not taken any deposit and just been left, somebody's disappeared. But there's a lot of help out there. I mean, we're part of the Export Exchange, and there's local councils, the Department of Industry and Trade. They'll all help, and there's some good help out there. There's people that do care about getting British businesses seen and getting the British UK PLC pushed around the world. We make some fantastic things over here, not just in Leeds, obviously in the UK, and we need to be shouting about how good it is and getting it out there.
Excellent. UKTI do a lot of stuff around that, don't they?
Yes, they do, yeah.
EIT, I think they're called now. They do the sort of trade missions and research and all that kind of thing. So that'd be something I'd encourage people to look at as well, potentially. So
yeah, well, we've used those in the past. So we've got a few customers in France through that, and we've been to America to do exhibitions with them, and the support we've had's been fantastic.
Okay. Well, we mentioned the global pandemic. It seems to be something quite naturally we can never avoid on the podcast at the moment as we're recording. You obviously had some challenges with the hospitality sector, just shutting down completely. Then the tiered system, are they open, are they not open? Changes in people's, hospitality habits and not having habits at all. Is there something that you think that you'd done in the sort of 20 odd years beforehand that helped you to cope with this when it all kicked in the early part of 2020? Was there something you said, not that you were planning for a global pandemic, but things that were in place that protected your business?
Well, it got a bit worse for me because I actually went down with COVID in March and was out of the business for 5 weeks.
Wow.
So I was in bed for probably 2.5 weeks, couldn't move. So it was a bit of a scary time, no matter what you look at, because I work with my wife. She was self-isolating. My son was self-isolating. I worked in the shop with my brother the day before I went down with it, so taking him out of the business as well.
Wow.
So look, I look at this year and think, well, we've done well to get as far as we have, because it could have gone really wrong. The operating side of the business obviously shut straight away. We sat back, and especially my wife, Kath, she, while I was poorly, was sat at home thinking, right, what the heck do we do? And started emailing people. And in all honesty, we got involved with manufacturing PPE. We got involved with all sorts of things related with COVID, which I can't go into through because of NDAs. But we opened the factory up again, not building jukeboxes, but we did all sorts of different products. And that got us through that bit. I think it's just having that no-die attitude, in all honesty. We've still got challenges. We've got big challenges because of all the parts of the business that are closed. And if you were to sit back and worry about those every day and concentrate on those, I'd probably be sat here with a bottle of whiskey now.
Right.
What I'm trying to do is concentrate on the things we can change and the things that we can influence, and try and get those through as fast and as efficiently as possible. And the team around me are doing the same. Everybody's put more than their fair share in this year. And I think one of the biggest things to that I've picked up probably from the past is not to panic, sit down, sort of regather your thoughts, try and see through the fog and the mist, and get a plan together and just run with it. It changes a lot. I mean, we've changed, as you can imagine. But we went home at the end of October thinking, great, the pubs are open and we can see income coming back and things are starting to look good. And 2 days later, the pubs are closed and we're back where we were. So look, it's never an easy one when you're running a business. It is changing, but as long as you know what your goal is and where you need to get to, you usually find the stepping stones. You might not go in a straight line, you might zigzag around, but hopefully you get there.
I love the attitude of focus on what you can influence rather than focus on the things that are outside of your control. Too many people do that, and it'll drive them, into a corner and they can't think about anything else. So, okay. I'm going to ask you, are you a vinyl, CD, or digital man at heart? I sort of think I know the answer to this. If you're a music fan, vinyl, CD, or digital?
Oh, I'll give you a few versions of this one. I love vinyl because it's the warmth of it, and especially on the jukeboxes, there's nothing else like listening to it on vinyl. I also love CD because of the selection and the quantity, and it's also fairly decent sound. And the digital revolution, I think, really helped music, but it's also had a negative effect. So I've put digital at the bottom of my list, vinyl up there first, and CD's a strong contender early.
Okay, and your machines can do both, can't they, in terms of that? And it's interesting. So you can actually Bluetooth your phone to your jukebox and play through the jukebox as. I mean, that's innovation right there. I'd never have even thought that was possible, really. But that's just, I guess that's a response to market requirements, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And it makes the machines more usable. You can stick an Alexa on the back of it if you want. You can feed it out into other systems as well. So it's a modern sound system if you want, but it's encased in a beautiful piece of furniture as well.
You say it looks fabulous though, doesn't it? That's the thing. And you can have a design of your own, or you can choose a classic and you can do what you want with that then, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've got ones going through now that are turquoise in colour. I've got red ones, anthracite ones, white ones. I mean, when we finished in March, when we ended up shutting the factory, I had 2 what I would call our bread and butter jukeboxes, the standard Mido SL15, a bit like the one in the background. That's our everyday machine that people buy. When we came back, we have just had probably the busiest 4 months that I can ever remember on record. And it was only last week or the week before I sold the second one, because everybody else had come in for a turquoise, red, blue, green, yellow, whatever, because everybody knows now they want to match it to a room or make a statement out of it.
How long does it take to make one from so I'm a customer, I'm thinking, I love this, I'd like a bespoke version of that. What's the timescale then, Chris, on me converting my ambition to having it delivered and installed in my house?
Probably about 12 weeks.
Right, okay. But it's a bespoke piece of kit, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yes, yeah. I mean, we build cabinets and ongoingly build them, but as soon as you start changing anything, that does add some time. And these things aren't pumped out by machine, obviously. There's some craftswomen and craftsmen working all day long on these.
Worth the wait, Chris. 12 weeks for one of them, I'll say. Okay.
100%.
So I'm going to ask you, I've got a question. Top 3 favourite songs, or at least genre or era. Now, the problem with that is, as a question, it's a bit of a daft question. Depends on what mood you're in, doesn't it, to a certain extent? So
well, it does. I'll give you my favourite at the minute because I'm hearing it all the time, which means we're doing well. And it's Fleetwood Mac, The Chain.
Yeah.
And when I'm in the factory and I hear that record, that means there is a jukebox just coming off its final test and it's going out of the door. So that is the final record we test on. So is
that your test track then, Chris? So if you know that's your final one, you put The Chain on there. Do you wait? Do you wait for the famous Formula One riff in the middle and go?
That's it. Yeah, that's what they test everything on.
2 minutes.
Yeah. So once you get that bass, when that's ringing round the factory, great. That's another one out the door. We're catching up.
Brilliant. I love that. That's a great, I mean, that's an association. That's what music does. You associate with all sorts, don't you? In terms of it can take you back to childhood. It can take you back to, happy times, all that kind of thing. So that's brilliant. So what's next for Sound Leisure? What do you reckon is on the horizon 2021 and beyond then, Chris? What do you reckon?
We've got some interesting products coming out, and we've been working on something for over 12 months, which will take us down a different line. And I won't say what it is yet, but I'm quite excited about it. It's music related again. We've been working on it, as I say, for 18 months really, and I wanted to launch it in October, but all the exhibitions were cancelled, so we've got to wait a bit longer. But early next year, first quarter, we'll be doing that. Look, I think, like everybody, we've got challenges as well. So the main thing is to get through the next 12 months again, and sort out internally what's going on with the different divisions and how they'll perform. Nobody knows. I can't even tell you when the pubs will reopen again. So that's a struggle. But looking forward, we've got the new versions of the jukeboxes coming out, and as I said, this new secret weapon we've been developing. And look, we're all excited. We're still up for the fight. We're good to go, and looking forward to 2021. And whatever it throws at us, we'll try our best.
Well, I would say, given the attitude that you display for that, and given that you're up for the fight, and given the fact that it's not an option to give in, I suspect 2021 is going to be a really good year for you, and I'm assuming the customers as well, in terms of, looking at the product range that you've got for them and what you can deliver. I'm fascinated by the fact that you diversified into the sort of children's distraction models, and so there's more to it than just jukeboxes, but they are really the heart and soul of what I wanted to explore with you today. So thank you for that. I'm just going to show the slide deck for those who watch it on video, just to let you know that you can watch this obviously on YouTube, but you can download the podcast every Tuesday on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, and Castbox. We can't quite get it onto a jukebox yet, but we might be working on that with Chris from there. Chris's details are on the contact details there. So it's Chris Black. It's at Sound Leisure. It's chris.black@soundleisure.com. Website is soundleisure.com as well. Fabulous business, some really iconic products, some really iconic kind of beautiful looking pieces of cabinet making as well. So I wish you nothing but continued success, Chris. Credit to the Yorkshire manufacturing community, the British and UK community for that as well. Let's knock the socks off them in 2021. So thank you for being a great guest on the Impact Sessions podcast.
Thank you ever so much, Nick. I appreciate it.
No problem. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.